Imagine lying down on a frozen earth with icy winds cutting through your skin like knives. There are no walls to shield you, no blankets to wrap yourself in, and no comfort of a modern bed. This was reality for our Ice Age ancestors. They lived in a world where temperatures could plummet to deadly lows, where snowstorms raged endlessly, and where predators prowled the night. Yet somehow, these humans found a way to close their eyes, drift into sleep, and wake up alive. How did they manage it? The answer lies in an extraordinary mixture of ingenuity, adaptation, and sheer will to survive. The Ice Age was not just a battle for food and shelter. It was a battle to rest without freezing. Sleep was more than comfort. Without it, the human body and mind broke down. Exhaustion meant slower reactions, poor hunting skills, and vulnerability to illness. So survival required more than just fire or hunting. It required mastering the art of sleeping in the coldest conditions nature had to offer. The first and most natural solution came from the earth itself. Caves were among the safest sanctuaries. They offered walls of rock that blocked raging winds, shelter from falling snow, and a relative warmth compared to the open air. But caves were not perfect. They were also homes to lions, bears, and wolves. For every human who entered a cave, there was a danger that it already belonged to something stronger. Some tribes used only the cave entrances, building small hearths near the mouth, so that smoke could escape while warmth stayed inside. Others dared to venture deeper, trading light for insulation. Archaeological traces of soot on cave ceilings prove that fires burned there night after night, illuminating the darkness and turning these stone chambers into communal bedrooms. Fire itself was the greatest weapon against the cold. More than just light, it became the first blanket. Flames created a circle of warmth and safety, a barrier against both freezing air and hungry predators. But fire required attention. It could not be left to die during the night. That meant people rarely slept all at once. Tribes rotated duties, with some keeping watch while others slept. The steady crackle of burning wood was as much a lullaby as it was a lifeline. Evidence shows that Ice Age fires often burned continuously for days, a sign that no tribe dared to let the warmth fade, not even for an hour. Beyond fire, humans used the spoils of their hunts. Animal skins became their bedding and blankets. When a mammoth or reindeer was killed, its meat filled stomachs, but its hide saved lives in the long nights. Thick furs wrapped around bodies, trapping heat and protecting even the smallest children. Some hides were layered on the ground like carpets to prevent contact with frozen stone. Mammoth hides, with their immense size, could even be used to build tent-like coverings that held in warmth. Hunters knew that skin was as valuable as meat, and no part of an animal was wasted when temperatures threatened survival. Another strategy was something we still recognize today: the human furnace. People did not sleep alone if they could help it. They gathered in tight clusters, wrapping their bodies together to conserve heat. Families formed circles with children at the center, shielded by adults. The warmth of many bodies together created a kind of living blanket. Even in deathly cold, a group of humans could create enough heat to keep each other alive until morning. This instinct for closeness is still visible in mountaineers who huddle together in snowstorms or soldiers who share body warmth in trenches. It is one of the oldest survival tactics humanity has ever used. Sleeping directly on the frozen ground was a recipe for death. To solve this, Ice Age people invented the first forms of bedding. They gathered grass, moss, pine needles, and soft plant matter, laying them down as insulating mats. These natural layers prevented direct contact with the earth, which would drain heat from the body. Some bedding sites discovered by archaeologists are astonishingly old, showing that humans were building primitive beds more than 40,000 years ago. These mats weren't just about comfort. They were shields against the deadly chill of soil and stone. Clothing itself became part of the sleeping ritual. There were no such things as pajamas, but garments of fur and leather served the same purpose. Hunters stitched together tailored outfits with bone needles, ensuring the cold air could not slip in through cracks. Even while resting, people wore multiple layers. Extremities had to be protected above all. Feet, ears, and noses could not be exposed. Wrapping the head with fur was common, leaving only a small opening for air. The more tightly the body was covered, the better the chances of surviving a long, frozen night. Yet survival was not only about warmth, but also about vigilance. A tribe never fully surrendered to sleep. Nights were divided between those who guarded the fire and those who rested. The sound of footsteps outside could mean a wolf pack or worse, and one moment of carelessness could lead to disaster. Safety was communal, and no one lived alone. Shared responsibility kept the group alive, and every member understood the importance of their role in those dangerous hours. In every detail, sleeping in the Ice Age was not a passive act. It was a strategy, a calculated choice that balanced warmth, safety, and survival. With caves as shelter, fire as protector, hides as blankets, and family as a furnace, humans carved out a fragile but enduring routine of rest. Every successful night of sleep meant the strength to hunt, gather, and live another day. And it was these very practices, this daily triumph over the cold, that carried humanity through thousands of winters and ensured that we are here to wonder about them now. The story of Ice Age sleep is not one of comfort, but one of determination. It was about using every resource, every scrap of knowledge, and every bit of human closeness to defy the cold. And though the world has changed and our bedrooms today look nothing like the caves of our ancestors, the essence remains the same: warmth, shelter, and the bond of those around us. Without those ancient strategies, humanity might never have survived the frozen nights of prehistory. Through endless winters, survival demanded more than caves and fire. Humans had to become builders, shaping shelters that trapped warmth and created a safe haven for sleep. Across Ice Age Europe and Siberia, archaeologists have uncovered astonishing structures built from mammoth bones, tusks, and hides. These were not simple tents, but carefully engineered shelters. Mammoth bones were arranged in circles, hides draped across them, and fire pits dug into the ground within. Some groups even built semi-subterranean homes, carving into the earth so that walls of soil and stone acted as natural insulation. Snow itself was used as an ally. Thick layers piled on top of hides created barriers that locked in heat, much like modern igloos. Inside these shelters, the air grew warm enough for people to rest without the constant sting of frostbite, a remarkable achievement considering the ferocity of the climate outside. But the physical act of preparing to sleep was only half the story. The night was a dangerous, uncertain time, and rituals developed to ease the mind and create unity. Tribes often gathered around the fire before rest, not merely for warmth, but for stories. Storytelling became a nightly tradition, weaving tales of spirits, ancestors, and hunts. These words soothed children, calmed fears, and strengthened bonds among the tribe. Some groups likely sang chants or whispered prayers of protection against the cold and predators lurking in the darkness. These were not idle entertainments. They were psychological tools. In a world where danger was ever present, belief gave comfort, and comfort made sleep possible. Predators were never far away. Wolves, cave lions, and massive bears roamed the night, their senses sharp and hunger constant. Humans had to adapt. Fires were often arranged at entrances of shelters or in circles to create a protective barrier. Food was stored at a distance from sleeping areas, so its scent would not draw beasts closer. And always, there were eyes open in the dark. Night watch rotations were crucial. A single mistake, a fire that burned too low, a noise left unanswered, could end in disaster. The very design of where and how people slept was shaped by the need to outwit predators that dominated the Ice Age landscape. The pattern of sleep itself may have looked very different from ours. Winter stretched into months of endless cold and darkness. Some scholars suggest that Ice Age humans adopted a form of semi-hibernation, spending more hours resting in winter and reducing activity to conserve precious energy. Sleep was longer, deeper, and more frequent, while summers demanded shorter, lighter rest to take advantage of longer daylight hours for hunting and gathering. This rhythm mirrored the natural cycle of the seasons and gave humans a flexible edge against a changing environment. Sleep was not just rest. It was an energy-saving strategy. The way people positioned themselves mattered too. Most curled into the fetal position, knees drawn close, minimizing the body's exposed surface. Heads were covered with furs, leaving only small gaps to breathe. Sleeping near a fire carried risks of sparks and burns, yet too far meant freezing. So people learned to balance distance with safety. Children were placed in the warmest spots, surrounded by adults who acted as shields against both cold and danger. The instinct to protect the young was as much a survival strategy as it was an emotional bond, ensuring continuation of the tribe. The Ice Age night was filled with sound. Flames crackled. Winds howled through valleys and caves. Animals howled back, their cries echoing across frozen landscapes. To us, such sounds might inspire fear, but for early humans they may have created a kind of rhythm, a natural white noise. The familiar crackle of fire meant safety, while the distant howls were reminders of danger. Silence, on the other hand, was unsettling. A quiet night could mean predators were close, stalking silently. The environment itself shaped the psychology of sleep, with every sound carrying meaning. Dreams were not dismissed as mere imagination. For Ice Age humans, sleep and dreams held spiritual weight. Shamans and elders may have seen dreams as messages from ancestors or warnings about hunts to come. The boundary between the waking world and the dream world was thin, and sleep carried a mystical dimension. To drift into unconsciousness was to step into another realm, one that could guide or endanger. Rituals to protect the soul at night were as important as the furs and fire protecting the body. Modern science has begun to uncover traces of these practices. Archaeological digs reveal the burnt remains of hearths close to bedding sites, proof that fire and rest were inseparable. Fossilized layers of bedding, grasses, leaves, and reeds pressed into the earth, show how carefully prepared sleeping areas were. In Ukraine and Russia, entire villages of mammoth bone shelters have been unearthed, some with evidence of long-term fire use. These finds tell us that Ice Age humans were not merely surviving night after night, but actively engineering their environments to sleep safely, a skill that helped them spread across continents. What is striking is how many of these lessons remain with us. The sleeping bag is nothing more than a refined fur wrap. Our tents echo the hides stretched over bone frames. Fireplaces, once a lifeline for survival, still hold a place at the center of our homes as symbols of comfort and safety. Even our instinct to sleep beside others, from shared bedrooms to dormitories and hostels, mirrors the ancient knowledge that togetherness means warmth. The strategies of Ice Age nights are not relics, but living traditions, hidden in a way we still seek shelter, warmth, and company when we rest. In the end, the story of how humans slept through the Ice Age without freezing is the story of resilience. It was not easy. Every night carried risks. But through fire, shelter, furs, rituals, and community, our ancestors created spaces where life could continue. They adapted, innovated, and found strength in unity. Their ability to close their eyes and trust the night was not just survival, it was victory. And that victory is written into our existence today. We are the descendants of those who learned to master the cold and make sleep possible in a world where everything seemed designed to prevent it. Their triumph is why we wake in warmth now, centuries later, marveling at their endurance and ingenuity.